Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's NASCAR Cam. We are joined by Kyle Busch, driver of the number 18 M&M's Crispy Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. Busch captured his fourth NASCAR Sprint Cup Series victory this season on Sunday at Indianapolis Motor Speedway and heads into next week's race at Pocono, the site of Sunday's Windows 10 400. And Kyle, you essentially swept all three races last week, beginning with Kyle Busch Motorsports' win at Eldora and your wins in the NASCAR Xfinity Series and Sprint Cup Series at Indy. Tell us about the racing success you had across all three national series.
Well, it's certainly been a dream come true, and starting last week at Eldora on Wednesday with Christopher Bell, that was just a great performance by the Kyle Busch Motorsports team and all the guys there winning that one. But then, moving on to Indy and participating in the Xfinity Series race as well as the Sprint Cup Series race and being able to win both of those and come home with a checker flag is just a phenomenal feat and something that has never been done at Indy, and I was glad that I'd be the first one in doing so. But most importantly, just being with my team and everybody that's done so much work this year at being able to prepare such great race cars, and everyone here at Joe Gibbs Racing to put ourselves in victory lane at the Brickyard 400 is pretty cool.
Thank you. We'll now go to the media for questions for today's guest, Kyle Busch.
Thank you. The floor is now open for questions. If you do have a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad at this time. If you are using a speakerphone, we ask that while posing your question, you pick up your handset to provide favorable sound quality. If at any time your question has been answered, you can remove yourself from the queue by pressing 1. Again, ladies and gentlemen, if you do have a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad at this time. First question comes from Mark Meany with 6 ABC Philadelphia. Go ahead, Mark, you're live.
Hey, Kyle, can you just talk about racing it at Pocono, what you like about the track, difficulties it presents, and just your thoughts overall racing up at Pocono?
Yeah, Pocono is certainly a very interesting racetrack. Obviously it's nicknamed the Tricky Triangle for a reason. There's 3 distinct turns at that racetrack, not like a typical oval track that we go to that has 4 corners. So it's quite challenging, and the speeds that you carry there, being a 2.5-mile racetrack, are quite high, and yet you'd use a lot of brake to get down to the right speed that you need for the corners. So it's a fun place. It's really flat and lends itself to sometimes getting spread out a little bit. But the restarts there are always crazy. You're always 4 or 5 wide down that really wide front straightaway, trying to funnel off into turn 1. So it can create for some excitement there for sure.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you very much. Our next question comes from Bill Fleischman with the Philadelphia Daily News. Go ahead.
Good. Hi, Kyle. Stating the obvious when I say what you've done is remarkable. Doing it with these different aero packages. Just talk a little bit about that and how quickly you've adjusted while other drivers haven't been able to adjust.
Yeah, we definitely had some great race cars here at Joe Gibbs Racing, so I think that kind of lends itself a little bit more towards us having these different aero packages. But, we've just tried to go out there and do the best that we've known how to do with what we've got. Obviously somebody's going to win the race. It might as well be us. And fortunately, we've been lucky in that these last 3 weeks and winning with the 3 different aero packages in 3 separate weeks at 3 different racetracks, So it's been fun. It's definitely different. It's a challenge. Being able to jump back and forth between the Xfinity cars and the Cup cars, or even running in the Camping World trucks, you're always trying to figure out that balance of what exactly the car or truck is going to drive like. And so I think that sort of lends itself a little bit more towards me racing in these different rules packages, is just the versatility of that and understanding what the car will do or won't do, and just trying to come up with those conclusions as quickly as possible to give yourself a good basis going into the race.
Okay, thank you.
Our next question comes from Holly Kane, NASCAR.com. Go ahead, Holly.
Thank you. Hey, Kyle, I wondered if you could talk a little bit obviously the driver is such a huge, important part of what you're doing right now, but also what this means for your team to get back in this thing and have a chance to really go for the championship. What is the, are you seeing a whole lot of smiles on their faces? What's the vibe like for the team? And if you could just talk about how nice this feels to deliver them a shot at the championship as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely think the whole company's really jacked up. Everyone here at Joe Gibbs Racing just feels everything going and coming together, as a whole. So even my teammates, we went to lunch earlier today, and everybody's just kind of gelling, and they're happy. Everyone's smiling, and they're happy for me and the success that we've had at the 18 car, but also for the success that the company's starting to put together as well, too, with a bunch of us finishing in the top 10 each and every week, especially Kentucky. That was amazing, all three of us in the top 5. So we feel like everything's really coming together as a whole, and it's a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication. Adam Stevens and this group of guys on the 18 bunch have really come together and swung full circle. It obviously started out really tough for them, and they were down in the dumps maybe, and really weren't sure what was going to happen or who their driver was going to be week to week. But Matt Crafton, David Reagan, and Eric Jones did a fantastic job filling in for me. And once I've gotten back, maybe it took a couple weeks to kind of knock the rust off a little bit, but since then it seems like we're running on all 8 cylinders and just doing a fantastic job being able to get our M&M's Crispy as well as our Skittles Camrys to victory lane.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Todd Gibson with WNCN TV. Go ahead, Todd.
Hey, Kyle, as you're rehabbing your injury, did you ever think that you would get back this quickly, and did you have any doubts that you would have this success this quickly once you got back from your injury?
Going through the rehab process and everything, I wasn't exactly sure how fast I'd be able to get back going, and every day or every other day when I went to go see the therapist, or even the therapist would come to my house, I kept pushing him and telling him, hey, I want to be able to do this, or hey, I want to be able to do that, or hey, next time I see you, we're going to be doing this, right? And, so I was kind of, almost pushing him a little bit more than he was pushing me. But, more and more as I started getting up and started walking and doing some different things, he really started pushing me and saying, man, you got to do this, you got to be able to do that, and we got to put more weight on this. And so it was really, it started to get tougher, a lot tougher once, once I started to become more mobile. But all in all, I wasn't sure how fast I'd be able to return, but I'd say it was a little quicker than what many of us expected, and which was fine. And then getting back in the race car, like I said, maybe it took a couple weeks to kind of knock the rust off and get a feel for everything again. But once we got that kind of all out of the way, it seems like everything's just been coming together.
Thanks, Kyle.
Very much. Our next question comes from Scott Walsh with the Scranton Times-Tribune. Go ahead, Scott.
Thank you. Kyle, congratulations on the success you've had so far.
Thank you.
I've actually been focusing, recently on trying to make the chase, but have you had a chance to look at maybe the historical aspects that your, this streak that you're on, like where it stands as far as history goes?
A little bit, yeah. Somebody showed me the other day, I guess, the 3 wins in a row. It hasn't happened since Jimmy Johnson in 2007. I think Jeff Gordon was before that, Mark Martin and Rusty Wallace maybe even before that into the early 90s. So, 3 or 4 times since, 1993 as it happened. So it's pretty special. It feels good to be in that group of names, and obviously those guys are all champions in their own right and have built this sport to what it is today. So hopefully for us in this 18 car, we'd love nothing more than to be able to go to Pocono this weekend and to capitalize on another victory and make it 4 in a row and knock off another racetrack that I've yet to score a win. So that'd be pretty cool.
And you look at your results over the years at Pocono, you've kind of been, kind of maybe hit or miss. You've either or feast or famine kind of thing. How vital is Pocono going to be to your continued quest towards making the chase?
Well, I would agree with you. It has been, feast or famine. We either hit it or we don't. So it's a tricky racetrack to try to hit. I'm not sure exactly what things or what traits you have to have in your car exactly, but I thought we had a decent run there this spring. I felt like we had a 3rd or 4th place car, and I messed up on a couple of restarts and finished 9th, so that wasn't too terrible. But we definitely like to get to victory lane there for sure. But as far as Pocono being a place that's going to derail our efforts or anything in making the chase. I don't think it has anything to do with any of that. Even if we had a bad day and finished in the 30s or 40s, it certainly wouldn't speed up our process in making the chase. But we've still got 5 more weeks after that where I feel like we got some really good tracks coming up that we can win at, like Watkins Glen, like Bristol, Darlington, Richmond. Those places I'm really looking forward to, and who's to say that we shouldn't get any more wins?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next question comes from Jeff Gluck with USA Today. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hey, Kyle. It seems to be people want to point to a lot of different theories out there as to what's behind your hot streak. Some people say, well, he's just more mature now. Some people say maybe your time away gave you some perspective and focus that you never had before. Or maybe it's just you have, really great cars right now. Have you had a chance to reflect and think about what's behind all this, and do you have a reason or a theory that you point to more than others as far as all your success?
Well, I think I would point more so towards just the relationship of Adam Stevens and myself. The time that I was down and hurt, Adam and I, we still had an opportunity to spend time together, and we'd talk, and we would talk about my rehab and what all I was going through, but then we would just talk about family stuff, how him and his wife and kids were doing, and just what's going on at the race shop, how are the guys, stuff like that when I was, stuck at home in bed, but we always kept in touch. There was never a time and there was never a weekend that we weren't able to speak to one another. So I think that really helped solidify our relationship as much as we could without me being in the race car. And then since I've been in the car, just trusting what he's doing and giving him all the feedback I possibly can and letting him go to work. He's done a really good job. I've been proud of him and the whole team of everything that they've put together for me. And, past that, maybe it is a little bit of the other stuff too, just studying the racing while I was away and just kind of seeing what was going on and being hungry for it and wanting it and, knowing that this is what I want to do. I don't have anything else in life that interests me as much as driving race cars.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Rick Bonnell with the Charlotte Observer. Go ahead, Rick.
Kyle, when the accident first happened, considering the timing of it at the very beginning of the season and the severity of your injuries, I'm curious, how long did it take you to get your head around the idea that your season wasn't necessarily over? Because, it seems like that might be the natural reaction sometimes.
Yeah, it was a natural reaction initially. I did think the season was over. I did think that it would probably take a full 12 months to recuperate and recover and get back to normal. But, through the surgery in Daytona and then understanding what all was going on there and then through the surgery at Charlotte to fix my foot, and understanding and talking to the doctors with everything that went on, they gave me a better synopsis of how it was all going to turn out and what it was going to look like. I think their original estimation was probably 16 weeks before they felt like I'd be able to get back into a race car. But then it would be about 6 months, which we're coming up on, before I would actually kind of feel normal and like I didn't have an injury. But yet it would still be 12 months before I would actually be able to just go for a run, and strap on some running shoes and get out there and go for a run. So. We're still working on all those timelines. I still got more surgery coming up here this off season. So, fortunately, everything came to plan actually quicker than we all anticipated. And for me, once I started listening to the doctors and understanding what all was going on and what all I was going to go through, I then did realize, okay, I'm going to be back this year. I want to be back by here, or I can be back by this race, and we just kind of all started to put it together. And a lot of it was talking to Joe and the team and everybody. They didn't want me to rush it and get back too soon and take a chance of re-injuring something. So we made the right decisions. I think everything just kind of came together and flowed nicely.
So you still need more surgeries on top of what's already happened?
Yes, that's correct. I've still got plates in my left foot that have got to come out in the off season. So we'll get those removed in December. And I've got screws and a rod in my right leg. The rod will probably stay, but the screws will come out.
I see. Thank you.
Yep.
Up next, we have Bob Cockris with ESPN.com. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Kyle, I'm curious, do you feel prepared for the chase for the intermediate tracks, assuming that the rules package will be kind of the traditional rules package and not the reduced downforce or any high drag packages?
I don't know. You know, to be honest with you, I think the only mile-and-a-half race that I ran was Kentucky, and that was the lower downforce package, which I enjoyed. You know, I thought we had a good show. Obviously, I won, so I think I'm a little partial maybe. But besides that, you know, you go to Chicago and Kansas and Charlotte, Texas, you know, those places with the typical package, I don't think that that's necessarily going to derail our success or take anything away from what we've done or been able to do this year. So I'm fine with it. I think that I feel like we're ready. I don't feel like there's anything wrong with our cars, with the current package, the normal package, let's call it. And, you know, I look forward to getting to those racetracks. Chicago's been a really good place for me over the years. Last year we ran well. We led some laps and had a chance to win that thing. So let's go do it again this year.
And have you had to add to any of your plans as far as Xfinity and trucks to make up for any races that you missed while injured?
No. Let's see. I'm going to run pretty much the remainder companion races, I think, of the Xfinity schedule besides Watkins Glen. I'm not running that one. And as far as the truck stuff, I was originally scheduled to do 4 races. I'm still scheduled to do 4 races. So, you know, I got Pocono coming up this week. I'm running Loudon. I'm running, and let's see, Bristol I'm running, and there's one other one I can't remember right now.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Brian Eberly with the Motor Racing Digest. Go ahead, Brian.
Kyle, can you give us your thoughts on Christopher Bell's performance and win at Eldora? And in addition, Bell said after that race that he thought Eldora was his last scheduled truck race for the season. Has that changed at all at this point?
You know, Christopher Bell, he's an amazing talent. He's done a great job at Kyle Busch Motorsports this year in his super late model races. Actually, it moves back to last year. I thought he did a really good job in some of the first races that he ran for us. And getting his taste of pavement racing, you know, it's certainly gone really well for him. He's done a really good job. So excited to see that continue on into some more super late model races this year. And, you know, the truck race at Eldora, that was awesome. I mean, you know, he ran a smart race. He ran a smart heat race. He qualified decent. So everything just kind of came together for him. But there at the end, you know, with Bobby Pierce, Bobby obviously was really impressive as well too, and running hard in his truck. And they put on a great show. So I was really pumped to see those two guys running up front, you know, duking it out for the win and not letting Chris Bell have it too easy. So, you know, he put up with the pressure. He did a good job. And like he said, you know, he never would have guessed and imagined in 100 years that, you know, he'd go to Eldora and win his first race in a NASCAR truck. So that was pretty crazy. But as far as his plans for the remainder of the year, you know, we're still looking at some 54 races for him and seeing what we can do there. We're not quite sure everything as of yet, you know, with the remaining season that Justin Boston wasn't able to do. So we're going to have some more announcements here shortly.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you very much. No more questions. Amanda, the floor is yours again.
All right, Kyle, thank you for joining us today, and we wish you the best of luck this weekend in Pocono.
I look forward to it. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.